What's good, y'all? It's me, CBRD, and welcome back to the channel. We have another reaction video, 10 worst shark attacks ever recorded. This original video is brought to you by Facts Junkie. The link to the original video will be down in the description. Let's get it.
Sharks are terrifying creatures and are undoubtedly apex aquatic predators. We're no match for sharks in their natural habitat, and these 10 worst shark attacks ever recorded serve to remind us just how impressive these oceanic predators really are.
Who the hell recorded them?
Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all our latest and most exciting content. Randy Fry. Randy Fry was out with a friend on a diving trip not too far off the coast of Mendocino, California, back in 2004, when his life was forever changed in an instant. The pair were enjoying their time below the waves when their day out turned into a nightmare. They ended up face to face with a very aggressive great white shark that was intent on taking a big bite out of the two swimmers. It wasted no time swimming right up to them, attacking Fry without missing a beat. His friend, Cliff Zimmerman, took off at that point, struggling to see where he was.
I don't like his last name.
Going through all the blood that had suddenly filled the water around him. He later said that he heard a strange whooshing sound as the shark approached to attack the men, and before he knew it, he was swimming in a red-tinted sea. Zimmerman managed to swim to safety, reaching the shore before realizing that Fry hadn't made it out alive.
Damn.
He called 911 to report the attack, and the rescue team that was sent out to look for Fry's body managed to recover it the next day, and the autopsy revealed that the shark had managed to bite his head clean off his shoulders. The coroner came to the conclusion that it was a great white that had attacked the pair of unlucky swimmers by measuring and studying.
Okay, this was clickbait. It wasn't clickbait, but it meant recorded as in like on a record, not recorded as in like, we got you on candy camera, or candy camera, whatever. Y'all know what I meant. If you from, if you was born in the 90s, you know what the hell I'm talking about.
The bite marks. Terry Manuel. Terry Manuel was a massive fan of diving and had spent most of his life diving in all sorts of exotic locations.
Alright, I'm about to stop pausing it. I'm more than sure all these are white people. Mainly because as a black man, I have enough to worry about just walking up the street. I be damned I get in shark-infested waters on purpose. You know?
His love of scuba ended up causing him to lose his life in 1974 when he was out diving with a friend of his in southern Australia. They weren't too far off the coast.
That was a good picture from 1974.
And began swimming around underneath the waves. Their happy day out was cut short, however, when Manuel and his friend Talbot noticed something very large approaching them at an impressive clip. They couldn't make out the shape until it got close enough to strike, with Talbot realizing too late that he was staring down a massive great white shark. The shark latched onto Manuel and tried to swim away with him, but Talbot was able to free his friend from the shark's jaws. Talbot also managed to scare the shark off after its attack, giving him enough time to try to get Manuel to safety. Unfortunately, the shark had been moving very quickly when he attacked Manuel, moving at an estimated 25 miles per hour. The injuries he sustained when he was hit by the shark, along with the bite wounds he received, were too much for him to recover from, and he bled out before he was able to get back to shore. David Lilienfeld. A young man with his entire life ahead of him, David Lilienfeld was fatally attacked by a shark when he was on a trip at the age of 20 years old. He had traveled
He looked like Woody Harrelson.
To South Africa with a group of fellow surfers and was busy enjoying epic conditions at Cole Bay, which is a bit of a surfing and bodyboarding hotspot. Lilienfeld was messing around on a bodyboard while everyone else chilled out in the water around him, when all of a sudden he let out a terrifying scream before disappearing under the waves. The rest of the group immediately tried to help Lilienfeld and get out of the water themselves. The shark had grabbed him by his right leg and was busy shaking him back and forth viciously during the entire attack. It finally let him go, allowing rescuers to pull him onto the rocks and administer first aid. These efforts were futile, and the shark shark had already done too much damage to save Lilienfeld's life. The shark then continued to swim back and forth just off the rocks in a very aggressive manner for around a half hour before it finally swam off and disappeared before it could be captured and killed. Todd Andras, another lifelong fan of the ocean who ended up being caught in a nightmare shark attack, is Todd Andras, who, unlike the first few victims, managed to survive his ordeal and lived to tell people about his attack. Things probably wouldn't have ended quite so well if he hadn't been saved by a group of dolphins who managed to fight off the 15-foot great white shark that had attacked him. This all went down back in 2007 at Monterey Bay's Marina State Beach, and there was no prior warning before the shark grabbed a hold of him and tried to do him in. Only a few seconds after the attack began, a pod of dolphins that was seemingly swimming by at the right time stepped in and began beating the shark back, giving Andras just enough time to make it to shore before the shark circled around for another attack.
Yo, dolphins are cool as shit. Except when they try to hump you, because they be getting horny, young. I ain't never been humped by no dolphin, because I ain't getting in the water with no dolphin. But I have seen some shit where dolphins be wilding out.
Andras ended up being torn apart in no small way, requiring 500 stitches and 200 staples just to patch up the massive wound that the shark had left in his side and across his back. Andras then went on the road, recounting his story to plenty of news outlets.
Like, why you got your mouth open at that man back like that? Why?
Thanks.
Yo, I'm sorry. I hate to be this person, but they making fun of it. Look, he biting at his back and shit like that. He turned around like this. Hold on. Let me not break nothing. Like, what y'all insinuating? Like, something. Look back at it. Like, the f*** you doing, boy?
In this segment on the Discovery Channel, thanks to his close encounter with one of nature's most fearsome aquatic predators. Unfortunately, Andras did finally succumb to injuries he received in a car crash in 2016. Mick Fanning. Mick Fanning was a professional surfer
and he still died.
Quite influential figure in his chosen sport when he was attacked halfway through a live competition in South Africa. His entire attack was caught on live camera, and the competition was put on hold in the aftermath of the notorious incident. Many onlookers and witnesses say that it was one of the most terrifying things they've ever seen, and that they felt totally helpless while watching Fanning try to fend off his attacker. Fanning ended up not sustaining any injuries at all when the shark decided to have a go at him. Thanks to some very quick thinking on his part, he somehow managed to get his board in between himself and the shark, allowing him to reach over top of the board to punch the shark in the back. His own attack caused the shark to swim away, giving Fanning enough time to get out of the water and back to safety. The event was, as you can well imagine, shut down after the attack, and Fanning will go down in history as being a total badass who fought off a shark on camera and came out on top. If Fanning hadn't acted so quickly, things could have easily taken a turn for the worse, and his quick thinking that day probably saved his life, along with the lives of his fellow surfers.
I would never get back in the ocean ever again. It would be nothing but pools for me at that point. If I was a surfer, I'd get on one of them little jumps at like water parks, the little automated.
Elio Canestri. Elio Canestri was an up-and-coming surfing champ who was only 13 years old when he was tragically attacked and killed by a shark. Having dreams of being a pro surfer, Canestri knew that shark attacks were a real problem for people in his position, and had previously told his mother that he'd only go out surfing if he had people spotting for sharks at the same time. He kept his word, but his spotters ended up missing a shark that swam right up to Canestri when he was doing his thing one day. The shark bit him right in his right arm and also managed to get a large portion of his stomach. Canestri didn't stand much of a chance after an attack like that, and he bled to death long before a rescue boat was able to make it to him in order to bring him back to shore to receive medical attention. This all happened just off the coast of Reunion Island, which has since been declared off-limits due to it being an unsafe spot for surfers. Lots of attacks have occurred along this stretch, and the authorities have rightfully decided that it's better to be safe than sorry in the future, with Elio Canestri's death being a driving factor behind their ultimate decision.
Man.
Omar Conger, a professional
that shark
abalone
looked
diver.
crazy.
Omar Conger was very much at home in the ocean and enjoyed diving on a regular basis. That ended up going really badly for him one day when he accidentally crossed paths with an angry 16-foot great white shark. He was diving with Chris Rem, a friend and fellow diver, when the shark appeared out of nowhere, headed straight for Conger. His friend watched helplessly as the shark tossed his friend around underneath the waves and ended up having to swim for his life when the shark suddenly released Conger and made a run at Rem. Conger's friend only just managed to swim to a nearby boat where he was pulled aboard by a buddy mere moments before the shark tore past him. That's when they all tried to reach Conger, finding out too late that he had already died thanks to his very serious wounds. Conger wasn't the only
Who the hell was just floating face down in the joint looking like a dead body just now? Like, why? Where did y'all get that clip from?
person to be attacked and killed at that very same spot
The hell?
in the same period of time, with another 3 divers being attacked by great white sharks at that location over the course of a 2-week period. Ian Redman.
Is this man related to me? That's my last name. That's weird. He don't look like me.
Was
R.I.P.
hanging out with his new wife, Gemma Houghton, during their
I feel like he
honeymoon in the
died.
Seychelles when disaster struck. They had been told repeatedly that they didn't have to worry about sharks at all while snorkeling by the locals. These locals ended up being totally wrong, and the pair were attacked by a shark only a few days
both
later
died?
when they were snorkeling in relatively shallow water. Houghton made it back to shore, but Redmond wasn't quite so lucky. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but died en route because he had already lost far too much blood at that point. Houghton later said that the scene has left her permanently traumatized, which is unsurprising as far as we're concerned. Rodney Fox. Rodney
He looked
Fox
like he
now has a
alive.
massive scar that takes up most of his torso, thanks to a great white shark attack that left him lucky to be alive. He was a champion spear fisherman and was attacked back in 1963 off the coast of Australia. The wound he was left with is badass to say the least, and it took over 500 stitches to put Fox back together again. His left side was ripped pretty much wide open, and there's still a piece of a shark tooth embedded in his wrist, which serves as a gruesome reminder of how lucky he is. Fox has gone on to film a number of shark documentaries and made it a lifelong goal to increase our awareness and understanding of
I'm gonna be real with you. This man put way too many ads in his goddamn video. Like, relax, bro.
sharks and shark attacks. Bethany Hamilton.
I heard
Bethany
of her.
Hamilton is an
I already knew
absolute
this.
badass who was a 13-year-old aspiring pro surfer when she was attacked by a shark. The attack left her without her left arm. Instead of being discouraged, Bethany kept surfing and went on to make some serious waves in the sport. She was competing only a few months after her attack and is still a big name in surfing today. It's
Damn, I
nuts
didn't
that
know it was
Bethany
only a few
decided to
months.
keep surfing after she was attacked by a shark. But that just goes to show just how much fun she has when she's out on the water, despite the obvious danger. And that's the 10 worst.
Fuck the ocean. It's a beautiful thing to look at. It's awesome. Whatever. It's a big ass body of water. I'm not getting eaten by no damn shark. Now out here in Maryland, closest ocean, well, of course the Atlantic, but the closest way to get to the ocean would be Ocean City. I've been to Ocean City about twice. No, about 4 times. I've been in the water about twice. Not for me. You know, you step in the water and then you think, you know, because that was my first time at the ocean, the first time I went, of course. And I was just like, why that floor ain't flat? dummy, because it's not a floor. it's sand. Yeah, it's just sand. So, you know, you can be standing up in 3 feet of water and slide down one little sand dune or something like that and be in 10 feet of water. I'm good. Don't want to do it. Fine. Don't. Nope. After seeing this shit, don't give a about the ocean. Sorry, just me. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification button so you know each and every time I post a video. Also, go check out my other channel, Chef Boy Games, which is also featured on this channel, I believe. Yes, it is. Anyway, it's been fun, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.